Hi, teachers and staff. In this brief training, we're going to be talking about how we can use Lumio for small group instruction rather than just participating as a whole group lesson. So the first thing that you're going to want to do, if you haven't already, is we're going to want to go to lum.io. That will then take us to Lumio's main site, and I can sign in as a teacher. Now, it is recommended that prior to this little mini training that we do emphasize and learn more about Lumio and its platform itself. So if you haven't already, or you aren't experienced in using Lumio and getting students connected with Lumio, I would suggest using one of your choice picks for this training in really zoning in on Lumio's platform itself. There's a training specific to that. But for the rest of us, we're going to go ahead and take a look at how we can use Lumio as a smaller group teaching tool rather than just a whole group teaching tool. So you can do this with essentially any lesson. And again, you could go into Lumio's library, you could pull in lessons that you already have as notebook files by importing them, and you can also take things that are already pre-done. All that you'll have to do is instead of going into your smartboard and going into your files and starting the lesson from your smartboard, you would actually just start the lesson directly from your laptop by pressing the start button. So let's say I wanted this lesson to be a small group lesson. I would just press start from my laptop, and it's basically going to pull up all the same tools and resources. I still have my draw tool here, my eraser, all the same tools that students have, but it's in my web browser on my laptop screen. I can still have students connect using my little code, my class ID here, right, for students if they aren't already connected to my class. At this point, the thought would be that students would already be connected to your class if you've already used Lumio before. But if they haven't, they would go to hellosmart.com. This link is also inside of Students Clever portal, so they could sign in there as well as a one-click kind of take them right to where they need to be. They type in this class ID and then they're in. And then they're seeing exactly what it is that you're seeing. And if you have anything that is interactive for students, such as, for example, this fill in the blank activity that I have for students set up, students will be able to play this game in your small group while the rest of your students are still, doing whatever other stations that you have set up for them. In addition, I can change this at any time to student-paced lessons just by clicking the little people button here. I could also even send this lesson out as a student-paced lesson in Seesaw or Google Classroom if I wanted to do that as well. In order to do that, if I end my lesson here, all that I have to do is press my three dots, share link, and I can send this out as a student-paced lesson to where students can work on this at their own pace as well. Students do have to be signed in for that, and then you'll be able to see all of their work even after they've left for the day too. Now, I did really quickly want to re-emphasize something really quick to make sure that everyone is on the same page. You can do both of these things that I was just talking about. What I mean is you can be working with a small group of students and have that lesson in Lumio be for that small group of students, right? To where you guys are enriching, reteaching, whatever it is that you're planning on doing with those students in the Lumio lesson, that group right in front of you. Or you could be doing something totally different. Their devices aren't even there, but you pushed out a Lumio lesson using this student link to some of your other students in Seesaw, Google Classroom, or whatever, so that way they're working on a self-paced Lumio activity at their seats independently while you're working with a small group of students. And you'll still be able to see all of that student work after they've already completed it. So just as in a quick example, I could also do both. I could start a lesson, let's say, with my students. This is the one that I'm meeting with my students at the back table. I'm going to make sure that they're connected and it's on teacher pacing, right? So that way I'm good to go there. But then at the same time, I pushed out a different lesson. So right now I'm signed into a different window as a student account. And this is a self-paced lesson that they can go through and complete at their own pace. And if you have these activities set up to be independent handouts to where they each get their own copy, they'll be able to do all this work independently and you'll be able to see that progress later on. So you can do both of these things even at the same time if you choose to. Now, just so you can see how this all comes together, this time around, I pushed out this activity that we were just in. I pushed it out as a student activity using this student paste link. And I opened that up as my student account. And I completed an activity in it. And then I closed out of the page. When I go back into this activity and press start, if I go in to the independent handout that I had sent out to these students and I click on student progress, you can see that Mr. Thielen is one of the students that completed this activity. That was the student profile that I had. And when I click on him, I can see the work that he did. Here's the student page. So even though I did that and then left the slide, I can still see that work whenever. So even if it is after students have left for the day or weeks later, I can still go back through and see the student work. You can also see that I can see any other students that have completed this activity. So you could send almost this activity, the student link, out in waves if you wanted to. Here's the first group that worked on it. Here's the second group that worked on it. And all of the students that completed these pages will show their work even after they've left for the school day. I did want to highlight one other thing as far as the student portal goes really quick. I'm signed in as a student on this activity. Let's say the teacher accidentally forgot to make something interactive, one of the slides. So then students can't really necessarily move anything or do anything on that slide. In the moment, I could, on the teacher end, go into slide 4, press on my little people, and make this independent and instantly take a look at the student side. Now they have the opportunity to start, even though they were already in the lesson. So it will change what you're doing on that slideshow in real time. So that is one nice piece of Lumio, is that if you were to make changes to a slideshow in Lumio, it will change on the student's end in real time, even if they've already started the lesson. I really encourage you all to take a look further into Lumio's library. There's tons of great resources in here. Why invent the wheel when you already have resources here? You can just click on a resource that you like. You can preview it. You can save it to library. Some of them already have independent pieces built within them. Others don't, but remember, you get to customize it however you choose. So when I go back into this library after this is done processing, I can go in and edit this lesson and make it however I want it. So if I don't want this page to be independent, if I wanted to do this as a teacher, I can simply edit the activity. And now, bam, it's back to regular. And if I want to make it independent again, I just press the magic marker and make it independent. But I can change that out on this end and customize it however I choose. If I have already done this type of thing with students and I want them both to be independent handouts, these two slides, and now here's the directions page, I can get rid of this one, let's say. And now here's my lesson that I want to send out as a student link so that way they can complete it at their own pace, toss that into Seesaw, and they're good to go. So hopefully this gives you some resources and ideas of how you could potentially use Lumio while not necessarily being in front of your smartboard, but it's more of an independent or small group resource as well. Now, with this mini training, there is one last thing that I'd like for you to do. I'd like for you to, whether it's creating a lesson or finding something in the Lumio library that you like, whatever it is, pull that into your Lumio library, press those 3 dots, and share this student link with me in Google Classroom in that final assignment in this little mini training. So that way I can make sure that you have a feel for using the student-paced lesson, or at least having an idea of what you might like to use with your students in a small group or independent based activity rather than just a whole group. And that will hopefully get you jump started into using this platform more so with your students, whether it's small group, independent work, or as a whole group. Thanks so much for watching this mini training. We'll see you in the next one.